Welcome to the DELWP Great Ocean Road LiDAR Imagery and Web Digital Twin presentation. My name's Andrew Williams and I'm Project Manager for AAM. The Great Ocean Road is one of the most popular tourist destinations in Australia, attracting more visitors than Uluru and the Great Barrier Reef combined. Sited on the traditional lands of the Eastern Ma and Wadawurrung people, between coastal reserves, national parks and marine national parks incorporating significant cultural and heritage locations and farmlands, the Great Ocean Road, together with its seas and landscapes, needs to be protected and preserved for this generation and future generations. The Great Ocean Road, like many international tourist destinations, has been challenged by increased visitor numbers. That challenge will intensify in the coming years. The road also increasingly is challenged by the forces of nature and the impacts of climate change. The view has been taken that most important aspect of the visitor economy is protecting the region's environmental assets. Environmental protection is the major task, but to do nothing is not an option. We cannot afford to wait and react to each phase of growth of visitors to the region or severe events. Strong leadership and major institutional change is required to protect the iconic coast and the parklands for the benefit and appreciation of future generations. Land managers and the local communities along the corridor support the proposed establishment of the new statutory authority. Having a new statutory authority will create a clarity of purpose and a single point of accountability to lead the protection of the iconic coast and parklands along the Great Ocean Road, facilitating the kind of sustainable tourism that provides a great visitor experience. That's a quote from the Protecting Our Iconic Coast Parks Governance of the Great Ocean Road and its landscapes as part of a task force for determining a new Great Ocean Road Management Authority, and represents one of the overarching key features or key drivers for the project. From that study, from that task force, a number of recommendations, 26 in all, were generated. Of those, 2 were in particularly instrumental in getting this project off the ground. Recommendation 30, which was to establish the new statutory authority, the Great Ocean Road Coasts and Parks Authority, with an independent chair and skill-based board to manage the coastal crown land and marine parks along its length. And recommendation 21, which is to review and align the anomalous crown land reservations and parcel information within the Great Ocean Road coast and parks with the directions of the strategic framework plan. As an overview, this is a view of western coast of Victoria, southwest coast of Victoria, with the Great Ocean Road from Torquay all the way west to Ellinsford, or Princeton, I should say. So the Great Ocean Road project, it was conducted in 2 major portions. There was the ALS or aerial component, and there was the MLS or mobile land component. And so the 235 kilometres of road was driven by vehicle, and 500 square kilometres of aerial survey was also conducted over the same length of road. In addition, there was ground survey and benchmark control also run to ensure that these 2 surveys were not only highly accurate and met the requirements of the project, but were also coincident, which was important for this project. The MLS survey was conducted with a Regal MLS mobile laser scanner, and the sections, it was done in 3 major sections. Sections 1, Torquay to Skeens Creek, Section 2, Skeens Creek to Princetown, and Section 3, Princetown to Ellinsford. Concurrent ground survey by AAM staff was also conducted for the purposes of control for both the MLS and the ALS surveys, and conducted to a 3rd order survey requirements, and PSMs were also checked every 5 kilometres with no greater spacing between checks of 10 kilometres. Here's an example of the sorts of information that the MLS or mobile laser scanner can actually produce. This is a black and white image and a colorized version, and it's incredible the amount of detail that these scanners are able to produce and were required for this portion of the project. Here's another example of a scan of a building that was then also subsequently, as part of a proof of concept, subsequently turned into a LOD 300 model. And as you can see, incredibly detailed from a road-based scanner. Another very important portion of this project was the determination of the road centerline based on the road edges and any of the turnouts that were along the length of the road to show the formed surface. Because the Great Ocean Road was significantly ill-defined, it was really important to come up with an agreed survey of the road centerline so that it could be used as a baseline for determining the actual management boundary that the subsequent Great Ocean Road Management Authority will actually use. One of the key challenges with so much data, and there was so much data, is actually being able to look at it in a cohesive way. There was a number of sets of data that were produced. One of the key tools that AAM produces for clients to use is a product called GeoCIRRUS, a web-based 3D viewer, quite capable of containing vast amounts of information, but more importantly, being able to integrate lots of different disparate data sets and allow them to be used and viewed concurrently. So in the case of the project, we had ortho imagery, airborne colorized LiDAR, ground-based colorized LiDAR, 3D contours, 3D mesh surface layers, 3D vector mapping, and color ramp hillshades. And on the right, this is an example of the actual GeoCIRRUS view roundabout with terrestrial or MLS LiDAR scanning. So the following slides are a few examples of the sorts of results of the actual survey, but viewed in GeoCIRRUS. Here's an example of aerial imagery draped over a DTM derived from the LiDAR information. You can move freely through the environment, zoom in, zoom out, change layer modifications, be able to show different data sets aligned against each other. This example is a 3D contours draped over a color ramp DTM. The very bright green lines and the white line shown as the center line. Here's the aerial imagery, LiDAR, with the colorized point cloud, and 3D contours. And you can see very clearly the contours showing across the road. This is a color ramp of just the road centerline scan from the MLS with a color ramp DTM and the vectors. Very, very clear corridor, which is about 60 meters wide, showing fine detail at this level. Here's the same view, but showing the contours draped over the DTM as well as the 3D lines. So the digital twin was very important for the Great Ocean Road Coast and Parks Road Authority. And the observation was there's a critical gap in the absence of an overarching coordinated management. So previously there were 30 responsible organisations, there was a fragmented and inefficient Crown land management, land use planning lacked any clear direction. So with the digital twin, that serves as a critical foundational element supporting the actions of the Great Ocean Road Coast and Parks Authority. And yes, thanks very much to DELWP, the CIP staff, for a successful partnership and project outcome. Thank you very much.